The moment Diane walked into my sister's kitchen and saw me washing dishes in my worn-out jeans, she laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but a loud, mocking laugh that made everyone at the dinner table turn and stare. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Are you still doing this? I thought you'd have figured life out by now." My hands froze in the soapy water. My sister Hannah looked away, embarrassed. And I stood there, humiliated, while my brother-in-law's sister smirked like she'd just won something. She had no idea what was coming. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. Let me take you back 2 years. I was living in Portland, working as a graphic designer for a small agency. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Then my father got sick. Stage 4 cancer, the kind that doesn't negotiate. I quit my job, sold my car, and moved back to Ohio to help my mother care for him. For 8 months, I became a full-time caregiver, nurse, cook, and the person who held his hand when the pain got too bad. My savings disappeared first. Medical bills don't care about your dreams or your retirement fund. Then my freelance clients dried up because I couldn't meet deadlines anymore. By the time my father passed, I had $300 to my name and nowhere to live. My childhood home had to be sold to cover the remaining medical debt. My mother moved in with my aunt in Florida. And I, at 32 years old, ended up on my sister Hannah's couch in Columbus with 2 suitcases and a heart full of grief. Hannah and her husband Troy were kind at first. "Stay as long as you need," they said, "but kindness has an expiration date when you're broke and broken." After 2 months, I could feel the tension. The way Troy sighed when he came home and saw me there. The way Hannah stopped inviting me to family dinners. I wasn't a guest anymore. I was a burden. So I took any work I could find, cleaning houses, waiting tables, walking dogs. Nothing was beneath me, because I was trying to climb out of a hole that felt bottomless. That's when Diane entered the picture. She was Troy's younger sister, 28 and newly engaged to a real estate developer. She had money, confidence, and the kind of cruelty that comes from never struggling. The first time we met, she looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. "So you're the artist," she said, air quoting the word artist like it was a joke. "How's that working out for you?" I forced a smile. "I'm getting back on my feet." She patted my shoulder. "Good luck with that." Diane made it her mission to remind me of my failure every chance she got. At family barbecues, she'd talk loudly about her vacation to Bali while I served burgers. At Christmas, she gave everyone expensive gifts and handed me a $5 coffee card with a wink. "Thought you could use it," she'd say. Hannah never defended me. Troy never told his sister to stop. They just let it happen, and I swallowed every humiliation because I had nowhere else to go. But something was building inside me, quiet and determined. One night, after another dinner where Diane made jokes about my thrift store clothes, I sat on Hannah's couch and made a decision. I wasn't going to let this define me. I had skills, talent, and a work ethic forged in the worst year of my life. I just needed one opportunity. So I started applying for remote design jobs, hundreds of them. I worked on my portfolio until 2 in the morning, rebuilding what I'd let fall apart. And I prayed for a door to open, just one. The email came on a Tuesday morning in March. A tech startup in Austin needed a senior designer for a 6-month contract. The pay was more than I'd made in a year at my old agency. My hands shook as I read the offer letter. They wanted me to start immediately. I responded within 5 minutes, accepted the terms, and then I sat on that couch and cried. Not sad tears. Relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. For the first time in 2 years, I could breathe, but I didn't tell anyone yet. I wanted to be sure it was real. The first paycheck hit my account 3 weeks later. I stared at the number, scared it might disappear if I blinked. Then I transferred money to a separate savings account, paid Hannah and Troy 2 months of overdue rent I'd promised, and bought myself a decent laptop. I still wore the same thrift store jeans. I still took the bus. But inside, something had shifted. I wasn't surviving anymore. I was building. And Diane had no idea the girl she mocked was already 10 steps ahead. 2 months into the contract, my boss called me into a virtual meeting. I thought I was getting fired. Instead, he offered me a full-time position with benefits, equity, and a salary that made my old life look like a bad dream. "You're the best designer we've hired in 5 years, he said. "We'd be stupid to let you go." I accepted on the spot. Then I hung up, closed my laptop, and let myself feel it. Pride. Real, earned, unshakable pride. I was done being small. By summer, I'd saved enough to move out. I found a small apartment across town, nothing fancy but mine. The day I signed the lease, I called Hannah. "I'm moving out next week," I told her. There was a pause. "Really? That's great. I mean, we're happy for you." She didn't sound happy. She sounded surprised, like she'd expected me to stay stuck forever. I packed my 2 suitcases, thanked them for their hospitality, and left without drama. I didn't owe them explanations. I owed myself peace. Over the next 6 months, my career exploded. The startup grew fast, and I grew with it. I led a redesign that got featured in tech magazines. I spoke on a panel about design thinking. Recruiters started reaching out with offers I would have killed for 2 years ago. I bought a car, a used Honda that felt like a Bentley. I furnished my apartment piece by piece. And every night, I'd sit by the window with tea and think about Diane's laugh. It motivated me more than she'd ever know. Hannah invited me to Thanksgiving dinner that November. I almost said no, but something told me to go, to show up as the version of myself I'd fought to become. I wore a simple black dress I'd bought without checking the price tag. I drove my own car, and when I walked into that house, I wasn't the desperate woman on the couch anymore. I was someone else entirely. Deanne was already there, showing off her engagement ring and talking about her fiancé's new investment property. Then she saw me. Her smile faltered, just for a second. "Oh, you're here," she said, her tone less sharp than usual. "Yeah," I replied, meeting her eyes. "I'm here." Dinner was awkward. Diane kept trying to steer conversations back to herself, but people were asking me questions about my job, about Austin, about the design work I'd posted online that had started getting attention. I answered honestly, without bragging, but the truth was loud enough. I didn't need to perform. My life spoke for itself, and Diane's face got tighter with every question. After dessert, Diane cornered me in the hallway. "So you're doing okay now?" she asked, arms crossed. I nodded. "I am really okay," she forced a laugh. "Good for you. I mean, it's about time, right?" There it was, the backhanded compliment, the need to diminish. But this time I didn't shrink. "You know what helped?" I said quietly, remembering that kindness costs nothing, and cruelty says more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Her mouth opened, then closed. She had nothing to say. Christmas came, and with it another family gathering. This time at Diane's fiancé's house, a sprawling place with marble counters and a chandelier that probably cost more than my car. She was in her element, playing hostess, making sure everyone saw her success. I arrived with a bottle of wine and low expectations, but something had changed. People greeted me warmly. Troy's parents asked about my work. Even Hannah seemed genuinely interested in my life. Diane noticed, and she didn't like it. Halfway through the evening, Diane made an announcement. "Everyone, I have news." She waited for silence. "Paul and I are buying a second property in Scottsdale, an investment but also a vacation home." Applause followed. Then she turned to me, that familiar smirk creeping back. "What about you? Still renting?" The room went quiet. It was a trap, a public setup to embarrass me, but I didn't take the bait. I smiled. "Actually, I just put an offer on a condo downtown. It got accepted yesterday." The room erupted in congratulations. Diane's face went pale. After the party, Hannah pulled me aside. "I didn't know you were buying a place," she said. "Why didn't you tell me?" I shrugged. "I wanted to be sure it went through, plus I didn't want to make a big deal out of it." She looked at me differently then, like she was seeing me for the first time. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "For what?" I asked, though I knew. "For not standing up for you. When Diane was cruel, when things were hard, I should have been a better sister." Her apology landed somewhere deep. I wasn't sure I was ready to forgive completely, but I appreciated the honesty. "Thank you," I said. "That means something." She hugged me, and for a moment I felt the gap between us start to close. Not all the way. Trust takes time to rebuild, but it was a start. And sometimes a start is enough. I left that night feeling lighter, like I'd reclaimed something I didn't know I'd lost. Spring arrived, and with it a promotion. I was now the creative director, leading a team of 12 designers. The salary bump allowed me to finally treat myself, a weekend trip to Seattle, new furniture, dinners at restaurants I used to walk past. But the best part wasn't the money. It was the confidence. The knowledge that I'd survived the worst and built something real from the ruins. No one could take that from me, not even Diane. I ran into her at a coffee shop in June. Literally ran into her, almost spilling my latte on her white blazer. "Oh my God," she said, stepping back. "Watch where you're going." Then she recognized me. "Oh, hi," I smiled. "Hey, Diane, how are you?" She hesitated, and I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen before, discomfort, maybe even embarrassment. I'm good, busy with wedding planning. I nodded. That's exciting, I'm sure it'll be beautiful. She glanced at my designer bag, the one I'd saved for months to buy. Doing well, I see. I could have been petty, could have listed every accomplishment, every milestone, every moment that proved her wrong, but I didn't, because my success wasn't about her anymore. It was about me, about what I'd survived and who I'd become. I'm doing really well, I said simply. I hope you are too. And I meant it, not because she deserved my kindness, but because I deserved my peace. I walked away, and for the first time her opinion didn't follow me. By the time her wedding rolled around in August, I'd almost forgotten about the rivalry that had consumed so much mental space. I received an invitation, surprisingly. Hannah said Diane felt obligated to invite me since we were family now. I RSVP'd yes, not to prove anything, but because I genuinely didn't care anymore. The wedding was extravagant, as expected. But standing there watching Diane in her dress, I felt nothing but calm. She'd spent so much energy trying to make me feel small, and I'd spent mine becoming strong. At the reception, Diane's mother approached me. I've heard wonderful things about your career, she said warmly. Diane mentioned you're doing very well. I was surprised Diane had mentioned me at all. Thank you, I've been fortunate. She squeezed my hand. It's not fortune, dear, it's resilience. I admire that. Her words meant more than she knew, because they confirmed what I'd learned, that people who truly matter see the work, not just the outcome. They see the climb, not just the summit. That night, driving home under a sky full of stars, I thought about the girl on Hannah's couch 2 years ago, the one who felt invisible, worthless, stuck. And I wished I could tell her what I knew now. That rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation. That people who mock your struggle are often terrified of their own. And that the best revenge isn't cruelty returned. It's becoming so fully yourself that their opinions become background noise. I turned up the music and smiled. Not because I'd won, but because I'd survived. And that was everything. The story you have just heard is a powerful real-life story that happens in families everywhere, one I have witnessed through countless lives. I'm telling you to wake your minds to empathy, resilience, and how we should never mistake someone's temporary struggle for their permanent worth. If you were in my position, would you have confronted Diane publicly or found peace privately? Would you have held on to anger or chosen to rise above it? I want to know your opinion, because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. God bless you, and may strength guide your journey. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the most beloved channels, King's Revenge Vault. I am sure none of my stories will fail to move you. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.